Welcome to CR370, Task 2 Elaboration. So I've gone into Moodle, gone to the assessment information and scrolled down to task number 2. There's your submission portal and it's around week 10. Here's some guidelines for you there, but here's a modified unit template we're going to use and a modified lesson plan which is relevant. So let's and then some exemplars we're going to examine today. So they're where you can gather the information for you to construct your task. Let's go back to the unit outline and so that we can see exactly what's required in terms of the task. Under unit information, here's our unit outline. And let's unpack those things. Scrolling down, what is it? It's a task where you create a unit plan and it has peer critique. So there's two sections to this. One is create a unit plan using the 5E science framework, and you include literacies and Christian perspective, and you complete a peer review of those things. 60%. So it's substantive. So it's not a light touch task. It's something which is substantive. Going down to the elaborations that are here, you notice that this elaboration talks about the unit plan and talks about the peer review. So it talks about nothing particularly different here from what's in the description, 5E model, integration of those things, and incorporating some assessment along the way. So here's the theoretical justification for it, knowledge of the curriculum, teaching science, integration, and so on. The essential components give a little bit more legs to the assignment. So you complete a modified unit plan. A minimum of 5 lessons in the sequence of 5E, because that would be 1 lesson per sequence, but you're not limited to 5. If you did 7 or 8, that would be quite appropriate. At least 4 assessment activities need to be integrated into your unit. 1 moderate summative, in other words, not an over-the-top summative task, but one has got enough weight to it in terms of being comprehensive, and 3 smaller diagnostic ones along the way. You're going to do what I call a showcase or an illustrative example of a practical lesson is another deliverable, and you'll put God Big Story links throughout the unit. But one of those has some elaboration to it, but not all of them. Lastly, there's a self and peer review feedback that you will use, which is on the assessment information tile. So they're the elements that are going to be delivered into your lesson plan. So let's go to those elements and have a look at what is required. So I'm going to pull and open up the modified unit plan. Swing that across. It's there. Now in the modified plan, you've noticed some of this before. Title information. Now rationale needs to be included in there. So in other words, what's the reason for this? What are we doing? And so on. So you're writing a rationale. The intended learning outcomes, your content descriptors, and the general capabilities that you wish to cover in this. And that's expressing how it's going to be integrated. 1 summative assessment ready to be completed here. And like all unit plans, know, do, and value are some of the goals that you're going to do over the course of this unit. And the processes and skills that are applicable are science, process, and skills, and science, knowledge, and understanding. And Christian perspectives will be drawn from those. So go into the curriculum to ensure that you have the right language around those. Going through, I've got rid of a lot of things from the unit plan that has been previously used. So this here is, this is where you're going to put down your learning objectives from here, K1, D1, etc. will go down here. This is your sequence of learning approaches, so that's an outline of each phase. Content descriptors that are going to be covered in that phase, and any formative assessments that are particularly applicable for this phase. Of course, your summative will be somewhere down the end, I imagine. So the phase using the 5E models, for example, the first one being engage. explore, explain, etc. So type that in. Now this has got space here for 1 or 2 lessons, so you can just type away there. Now, one has to be an elaboration. So if your elaboration of your practical lesson might be in the explore phase, so we've got engage, explore and explain. So you would have this will have more detail. 2 ways you can do this. You can actually add the detail in this space right there with a full lesson plan type format, or you can indicate see attached lesson plan, which I think is probably the easiest way to go because you can add it subsequently as an appendice and go through the phases there. So the other phases won't have the same detail as your showcase lesson, practical lesson, but it will have enough detail that I can see that, okay, you've got a developmental sequence of learning going on here. So I don't need to see every link, every question you ask, those sort of things. No, this is more of a summary of what you're covering in here. So that's your unit plan, slightly less than previously that you've done. Go